Crushing blow for Luke Kuechly and the Panthers in their three-point win over the Saints. The three-time Pro Bowler was hit in the face mask while trying to tackle Saints running back Tim Hightower in the fourth. Kuechly was sobbing both as he sat on the field and was carted off of it. The Panthers later said he was being evaluated for a concussion. Here's his teammate Greg Olsen after the game.
Just that you hope he's okay, more than anything, regardless of when he comes back. If any of that, it's out the window. You just hope he's all right. It's a tough game sometimes. Those are the real ugly parts of it, of course. So just hope he's all right.
Feel terrible for him. Kuechly missed 3 games last season due to a concussion. So this got us thinking about earlier in the week when Dr. James Andrews was quoted by Sports Illustrated. Now listen to this. He said, "It's a collision sport. If we started a new sport today and we wrote up the rules and regulations and we called it football, they probably wouldn't allow it. We're all trying to do everything we can to make football safer, but that's the way the sport is. There's always going to be injuries. We're aware of that, and we're all working to keep it that way. We want it to continue, believe me." On a happier note, it's so good to have Damian Woody here.
Hey.
I was so happy. See, people don't realize I actually like having Stephen A. and Max around, but this is an upgrade, my friend. I want to start with you. How much trouble...
I remember you said that.
There he is.
By the way, having Damian there is like having Stephen A. and Max around.
Oh, they're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. It's not that funny. Oh, it's not that good. Damian,
Max, that was
let's just focus on each other. Let's forget those two annoying cats right there. How much trouble is the NFL in?
Listen, I think the NFL is definitely in trouble because when you talk about the NFL, they're in a delicate balancing act right now. Mm-hmm. Listen, I think Dr. Andrews was absolutely correct. It is a collision sport. There's nothing that you can do about that. You're talking about guys who are getting bigger, faster, and stronger seemingly every year, but the field size is still the same. So these collisions that guys are seeing, that we're seeing on television, these are violent collisions. But here's another component that the NFL is juggling right now. The product on the field isn't good, and the reason the product on the field isn't good is because of what's happening because of the CBA. Guys are practicing less, collisions are happening less, and one thing about football, a collision sport, you need to be in pads. I remember my coach Rob Marinelli used to tell me, you have to harden your body to get ready for a rigorous 16-game season, and because of the CBA, they've pulled that back, and a lot of these guys, a lot of positions in football are not up to snuff where they used to be.
To take that pounding.
So you're seeing the product becoming watered down, which the interest of the National Football League has come down. You can see that in the ratings. So the NFL right now is in a situation where you're saying, okay, there's nothing we can do about, we're playing a collision sport, but also we got to do something about the ratings. We got to be able to somehow get the product to where it needs to be, where people are interested in our sport at the levels that we need to be at.
Yeah, and it seems like a myriad of factors are impacting that. Stephen A.
It's kind of crazy because here's the thing. I think that America loves violent sports. I think we love high-end competition. I think the problem with the NFL ratings is the fact that the product is diluted. And I think it is in large part to Thursday night football combined with the practices or lack thereof, as Damian Woody accurately pointed out. You've got repetition, redundancy, all of those different things play a role into you adapting to certain circumstances and being in peak condition. At least that's what I was told, because I certainly never tried to play football. But at the same breath, I think it's important to point out that while we sit up there and we highlight that reality, let's make sure that we recognize that people love that high-end competition. They love seeing people perform at an elite level. And a lot of times, I think that, to me, Damian, and I don't know how far-fetched this may be, help me out here, but I'm of the mindset that players in the league today need to understand and appreciate the level of sensitivity the leagues and the doctors have to the safety issue. This is a real deal. Even when guys get hit in the chest, when they go down and their head bangs against that turf, it's really problematic. And so, again, to sit up there and insist on avoiding headshots, while at the same time not feeling the need to go so low where you're damn near crippling folks every chance you get. I mean, what's wrong with going out there and understanding below the head, above the knees, try at every turn as a collective unit of NFL players to do that instead of trying to knock people unconscious sometimes because you're recognizing the level of damage that can be done to the sport by continuing to do that. I know it may be unreasonable, but I guess what I'm asking is that something a player should be thinking about? I'm just wondering, Max and Damian. I'm just wondering.
Well, listen, I feel like, first of all, there's a level of hypocrisy with the league because you talk about player safety, and like you alluded to, we're playing you're playing Thursday night games. You're not even giving your body enough time to really heal from the games that you're playing on Sunday. So, when you say, guys got to appreciate what the league and the medical departments are doing, they're also looking like, dude, we're playing Thursday night games. We shouldn't be playing these.
And I've always been against Thursday night games.
Right,
Max is for it. I don't think it's
about. Look, I don't think it's about Thursday night games other than the health issue. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. What's the biggest problem facing the NFL? And I said at the time, and I maintain today, it's the effects of the violence of the sport. It's an intrinsically violent sport. That's what it is. And take it from someone who's a big boxing fan and saw boxing marginalized. But the more violent the sport, the harder it's going to be over the long term to remain in the mainstream. Forces push it to the margins in a hopefully civilizing society because of the dangers it presents. You could point to the UFC. Hey, that's fast growing. An interesting thing there is because the UFC, because in MMA you can follow up on an advantage, you can end the contest early. It's not like in boxing where a guy gets knocked down, gets up, standing 8 count. Hey, I know you have a concussion. Let this other guy hit you in the brain a little bit more. Or in the NFL, oh, you got a stinger? That means you can't feel your extremities? Shake it off and get back in there. That ongoing punishment, once you've been concussed, once you've been altered physically in that way, damaged in that way, leads to lasting effects that are not good. And that is the problem the NFL faces. You can try to make it as safe as possible within the context of the violent sport that it is. And consenting adults in America should be able to do whatever they want to each other, including play football. But that's what they're dealing with. It is violent. It has bad consequences physically. And I think that will ultimately continue to push football to the margins, although it occupies center stage right now.
Well, listen, I know I'll just take, myself, for example. When I came into the National Football League, I wasn't oblivious to, the sport that I was playing. I knew I was playing a contact sport. And when you're out there on the football field and you're having 60, 65, 70 plays where your head is constantly bashing, you have to know, or I knew for myself, that there could possibly be some residual effects down the road. But it's all about, how do I want to, do I really care about what happens later, or I have an opportunity to change a generational cycle? I think a lot of guys, when you look at coming into the National Football League, coming from underprivileged backgrounds, where they have an opportunity, a lot of money to be able to do a lot of really good things for their family. So they're really weighing, okay, I understand it's a contact sport. I understand things could happen down the road, but I have an opportunity right now to really change things right now for my family. I know for myself and a lot of people that played in the National Football League, they weighed those options.
Damian, if you could have played basketball, if you could have played in the NBA and had as long a career as you did in the NFL at the same level of player that you were, which would you have chosen?
Well, I mean, Max, come on, that's common sense. Obviously, I would have played basketball, but I'm not.
Talk to any football player, you get the same answer. Like 9 out of 10 will tell you, if you can play in the NBA, you do. And it points out the exploitative nature, Stephen A. Smith, of a sport like football to the players. Although I enjoy it and love it, and they benefit from it in many ways, it is fundamentally, when you talk about violent sports, they're exploitative of the participants.
Let's not come across like choir boys here when we talk about exploitative nature of the NFL. The NFL is trying to get paid, so is everybody else. And if you find that you have something that's marketable to the masses that can generate an exorbitant amount of revenue, it is something you're usually going to do. Of course, football players would choose basketball because it's safer and the contracts are guaranteed. There's more money. But at the same time, their gift is their gift. And if they have a gift for football more so than basketball, basketball and they have an opportunity to make that kind of paper, and you have an exorbitant amount of individuals who recognize the violence that exists in the sport, is clearly willing to take the chance, and you always have folks lined up willing to play, I don't think the NFL is in trouble in that regard. I think where the NFL comes into play in terms of being in trouble is when the product is diluted and we're looking at a subpar product for whatever reason. As long as the product that's being put out there for the masses is of a high-end value, regardless of what's happening, I think the public is still going to support it. I think you jeopardize it most once the product is compromised.
When mothers see Luke Kuechly, one of the best players in the NFL, period, in the middle of every play, getting taken off the field like a little boy. He can't catch his breath. It's like, what does he have, a punctured lung? What is it? And he's like, oh, it looks like he's in a state of shock. They don't want their kids to play football.
I know plenty of mamas who feel that way, and their son becomes 17, 18 years old, et cetera, and they have an opportunity to get a free college education, and they have an opportunity to make millions of dollars playing football as opposed to working a 9 to 5, and they say, Mama, I love you dearly, but I need your love and support here because this is what I'm going to do, and the mama capitulates. We see that all the time. Stop it.
Yep. We got to leave it there. Let's not forget Saints running back Mark Ingram also left that game being evaluated for a concussion. Always appreciate your perspective and your company today. But unfortunately, you have to leave us. Damian, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Coming up next, it's been a roller coaster rookie campaign for Carson Wentz. So will Philly's young QB sink or swim in Seattle on Sunday? That is coming up next. And it's a